Perfect. So a good sized towel is a useful prop. I've also got a strap and some bricks today, but you don't need them, so don't worry if you don't have them. So towel, you want it to be as wide as your mat if you can. This one is a nice big one, so there's plenty of it. And you want to roll it up as tightly as you can, so you get a nice sausage shape, and it's quite tight. So a yoga bolster is too big for this, and a hand towel is too small, really. So the first one we're going to do is to have it vertically down the center of your mat, and the top of it will support your head, and the bottom of it will be underneath your sacrum. So if you sort of bring, and a yoga blanket is good for this as well, if you happen to have one. So if you bring your sacrum just to the base, and then keeping the knees bent, just roll over the towel or the blanket so that it comes right down the center of your spine, but is high enough that your neck is not, your head's not dropping off the back. So the back of the head is nice and long. Just have a little fidget, bring your back of the pelvis to the floor. And then you can take the arms wide or just have them to the side with the palms turned up. Ground your feet, bending your knees so that you feel the earth underneath your mat, underneath your feet. And then as you start to tune into the breath, eyes closed, feel as if the shoulder blades and even the rib cage and the sides of your waist can start to melt over the towel. And as you tune into the sensation of the spine supported by the towel or the blanket, start to allow the breath to come a little more smoothly, a little more deeply. And even with the in-breath, see if you can feel the breath, not just in the front of your body, but coming into the back of your body. And with the exhale, feel as if the spine is softening into the towel and the body is draping. Really going to work on mobilizing and releasing and stretching the spine and the lower body in particular today. Letting the body get a little bit heavier. Take another breath here, and then we're going to move the towel. And when you do this again next time, you can stay a little longer. Let's roll to the side and take the towel and keep it in the nice tight sausage. So if it needs a re-roll, then re-roll it. And you're just going to move it so that it's horizontally. And this time the towel's going to be just at the base of the shoulder blades here. So again, as you sit, knees bent, you might need to shuffle down your mat a little bit so that as you come down, can you see it's right at the base of the shoulder blades? So your arms can come out wide just above the towel. Push into your feet just a little bit so that the skin drags the shoulder blades down. And you can just support the head, lengthen the back of the neck by tucking your chin and bring the skull to the floor. And then you can have cactus arms. This one is a little bit more yummy than the yummy yucky of the other one. So this one, it should feel kind of comfortable, but also quite strong as it lifts up the rib cage. It pins the base of your shoulder blades down. And then with cactus arms or arms out wide, that looks as if that could be a tiny bit higher, Suze. Is that so? It's sort of upper back, bra strap area. Yeah. And then you start to get a stretch around the diaphragm, the base of the rib cage, and you get this opening sensation really from the center of the sternum way out to the tips of the shoulders, the collarbones. Yeah. If you feel that your head is tipping back a little bit, you can just fold the top of the mat up and give your head a bit of support as well. Let's take another few breaths here. With the same sort of attention to the body. So as you close your eyes and find a steadiness to the breath, a smooth and even rhythm. That evenness is not just in the pace of the breath, but in where the breath is coming, the front and the back of the body. And see if you can get a sense of melting a little. Certainly with each exhale, softening the back into the towel. This is an area we get really stuck. So take one more breath here. And then keeping the towel where it is, the back of the skull melting into the floor. Bring the arms out in front of you so the fingertips are towards the ceiling. And start to reach the fingertips towards the ceiling. Feel the shoulder blades lift off the mat. And then as you exhale, drape the shoulder blades back over the towel back towards the mat. And then keeping them hugging back towards the mat, start to take the arms overhead. Now, it doesn't matter if your thumbs aren't reaching the floor, you just take it to where's comfortable. And then with your exhale, you bring the arms down to your sides. So you're just mobilizing this upper back as you breathe in and take the arms overhead. It doesn't matter how far they go. Don't be uncomfortable. And you can take the hands a little wider if that helps. And then exhaling, bringing the hands down to the side. So just move with your breath. Good. And maybe even draw a circle so the arms can come out wide. And then circle down to your sides and then up again. So you can feel this mobilization in the upper back. And just do that with your breath twice more. Well done. Lovely. And then roll to the side. Now be careful. Sometimes the upper back is going to go, what have you done to me? Breathe. Slide the towel out. Come back onto your back and your upper back should feel lovely. And you're just going to lift the hips and take the towel underneath the sacrum. So it just lifts the pelvis a tiny little bit. Flatten the shoulder blades onto the floor and just hug the right knee in. So the pelvis is just a tiny little bit lifted. You can do this with a yoga brick, which lifts the pelvis a lot more. Start to slide the left leg straight. Keep a little bit of muscular energy in that left leg so the toes point to the ceiling. You've got that sense of the inner left thigh hugging into the middle. And as you hug the right knee in towards the right shoulder, really, so you're bringing it out wide. Feel as if you're lengthening that left leg out of your body. So you get a little opening through the hip flexor here on the left. See if you can feel that the back of the pelvis is even left and right onto the towel. And take a couple of breaths. Release that foot to the floor, the right foot, and then hug the left knee in. Adjust the towel if you need to. Just give you a little bit of lift and then start to straighten your right leg along the mat. Heel to the floor, firm the thigh of the right leg, so toes pointing to the ceiling, hugging it into the midline. And as you hug the left knee in, feel as if you're lengthening that right leg out of your pelvis. And see if you can feel that sensation of opening in the front of your hip. If you feel it in your low back, you might need to move the towel or really feel that you're scooping your lower abdomen in. So a little bit of core engagement or abdominal engagement can help to reassure your back. Take another breath. And then hug both knees in. And just massage the back of the pelvis there, rocking side to side a little if that's comfortable. And then bring the feet to the floor. Slide the towel out. We might need that in a moment. So hug the knees in again. Circle the knees, just release the whole of the spine and take a couple of breaths here, nice and still, hugging the knees in, and see if you can feel that awareness all the way from the base of the tailbone to the back of the skull. And then let's roll to the side and come into cat-cow. So the hands spread wide underneath your shoulders, fingers wide, knees hip width apart. And just start with a cat-cow. So as you inhale, allow the shoulders to slide away from the ears as you broaden the sit bones, broaden the collarbones, and lengthen the spine. And as you exhale, pull the belly up away from the floor, starting to look back at the knees, tucking the tailbone at the end of your exhale. So you inhale, feel a lengthening of the spine rather than just a scrunching in the low back. And as you exhale, pulling up as you arch the spine to the ceiling. Now you can keep on that trajectory of just inhale, exhale, or you can start to freestyle a little bit and try circling the hips to one side, the other side, and you might feel that there's an area that wants a little bit of breath, a little bit of stretch in the spine. So do what feels a little bit of freestyle here, what feels good for your body, for your back. So if you move the hips a little from side to side, you might find, oh, there's an area around the waist that needs a little bit of a breath. Yeah. And just do 2 more breaths, however feels good for your spine. And then let's take the towel and put it across the mat again. You still want it nice and firm. So if it needs a little bit of a re-sausage, it's a new word for your vocabulary. Then roll it up nice and tightly. And then come away from it a little bit because we come into a lunge. And the towel's going to be underneath the ball of the right foot as you step forwards. Make sure that your feet are still, your legs are still hip width apart, so you're not on a tightrope, so you can stay stable and just lengthen the tailbone, draw the tummy muscles in and up so that you feel stable. And then you're just going to lunge a little bit, keep the heel on the floor. So can you feel as you come into here, you get a stretch down the base of the calf and then take it back. So you're just going to lunge in, try and keep the calf down and then the heel down rather, and then come out of it. Good. Lengthening the tailbone. See if you can keep the chest lifted and just lunge in and out and see if you can feel a little bit of a calf stretch as the heel is on the floor, the ball of the foot on the towel. Nice. Good. And then start to bring the torso a little bit more upright over this back knee and lengthen the tailbone again. Can you feel an opening in that left hip flexor? Take the arms up. Take hold of the left wrist. And as you keep that loop in the pelvis of lengthening the back, drawing up at the front, take the arms over to the right, hinging over. Can you take a breath into the left lung? Lovely. Take another breath here. And then take the towel out from underneath that calf, and you're going to put it back here behind your left foot. So it wants to be underneath the top of the foot. So Maggie, you might need to adapt this one for your knee. And I've got bricks handy, so I'm going to use my bricks. So again, you can lunge into the front and then start to sit the hips back. Now you might just get to here if your knee doesn't want to go any further, or start to sit back onto this heel. And you'll find a stretch comes more into the shin with the top of the foot on the, so yeah, you've still got the right. So for you, Maggie, the focus probably is going to be more on the right hamstring for this one, rather than sitting right back down into the knee. But it will still give you a little bit of a stretch on the shin. So the towel wants to be almost under your toes. If it's right underneath the ankle, you won't feel anything at all. Yeah. So then just see, not everybody is going to like this. If you can sit back and you get a stretch on the shin, that's it. And then straightening through this right leg, you can support yourself on the bricks, just bow a little bit, and then you get a hamstring as well. Isn't that delicious? So if you're focusing on the hamstring, Maggie, straighten that right leg out a little bit more. So you might be here. So if the knee doesn't want to come all the way down, you might be here. You'll still get a little bit of stretch on the top of your foot. Otherwise, you might sit down. Good. Let's take another breath here. 101 uses for a bathroom towel. Good. Take another breath. And then we'll come on up. Stay on this side. So you start to open out and swing this left shin backwards. So you're opening out to the long edge of your mat, but your right foot is still pointing to the top. Yeah, so your right foot is still forward. Yeah, knee bent, knee over ankle. That's it. And you're starting to turn the body to the long edge of the mat. So here we start to open this hip. Yeah. That's it. So depending on, that's perfect, Sue. So depending on how that feels in here, you're trying to square the pelvis to the long edge of your mat. And then start to just bend this knee, lunge towards the knee a little bit. You get a little bit more. Right elbow to right thigh, left hand on the hip, and see if you can start to turn towards the back of the mat. Yeah. So it's an opening through this front hip. Nice. And you might want to just lift out of it and then come back into it a couple of times. Lovely. Pushing into the right foot, come up, straighten the right leg, turn the toes forward. So this is a more familiar posture for gate pose. Again, can you draw the tummy up, lengthen the back of the body, slide the right hand down. Look as if I'm opposite to you. Right hand down the right thigh and sweep the left arm over. Nice. So the body's square to the long edge of your mat. So Ali, turn the toes forwards. Yeah, perfect. Great. So your toes are pointing to the long edge of your mat. You're really firming into that right foot. Take another breath here. And then windmill the hands down, the left hand down to the floor, and it can be on the towel. That happens to be where my left hand goes. Pushing into this right foot, sweep the right arm overhead. Lovely. And then grab hold of your towel and start to come back to the front, and we'll change sides. So bring the right knee down, step the left foot forwards. Can you see that the towel is underneath the ball of the left foot, but the left heel is on the floor? Yeah. Square the pelvis so that you're really square to the front of your mat, and you might need to separate that left foot out a little bit if you're a bit on a tightrope, and start to draw the belly up and the tailbone down, so you feel a little stretch in the right hip flexor. And then we just lunge forwards. So really press the left heel down to the floor, and you get a little stretch on the back of the calf here. Good. Come out of it and then back. So try to keep the gaze forward and the chest open to the front of the mat. So we're not bowing. You'll get less stretch there. So you'll see you get a right hip flexor stretch as well. If you can stay lifted, just come into the lunge and then back out. Lovely. Good. One more. See if you can feel the stretch down the back of the Achilles. And then come up, and again, squaring the pelvis to the front, drawing the belly up, the tailbone down, take the arms up. Take hold of the right wrist this time. So we want to feel a strong stretch in that right sit bone, which is where we're tucking the pelvis under a little, and then hinge to the left. Relax the shoulders a little bit and feel the stretch through the right side. Breathing through the side body, opening up the spine, the torso. Release back to the center. You're going to take your towel, re-roll it if you need it, and then pop it underneath your the top of your foot. So you might need to take it back. So it's just below the toes. And if you don't feel anything, if you're really mobile in the ankle, you might find that you actually want to double up your towel. But for me, it's enough. And then the bricks can be helpful, but they're not essential. So you have choices here. If the knee is not going to want you to sit back so that you feel a stretch in the top of your foot, then you're going to be working more on Hanumanasana and keeping the hips lifted. So you can go between the lunge and Hanumanasana, or if your body likes it, if your knees are happy enough, then you sit down, sit bone to heel. And again, walk the bricks forward so you get the hamstring stretch on the left, but you also get a little stretch on the top of your right foot into the, yeah, that's it. Not an area we access very often, and it can feel a little bit awkward. That's it. Bricks for a bit of support. Nice. Take another breath here. And then come up. And we're going to open up the left. So if I show you from behind, so we're coming into the left groin. So you start, the left toes are still pointing to the top of your mat. You start to swing the right shin out and turn the body so that it's square to the long edge of your mat. I'm just going to change sides. Yeah, there we are. So sort of a bit like a pantomime character. Opening out. So every hip is going to be different. If it feels too strong to have your foot and your knee in line, left toes pointing out, or it pinches somewhere, then you're just going to take the foot further towards the front of your mat. Lovely. Otherwise, the same thing. Can we engage the core, lengthen the tailbone and be nice and tall? And then you can stay there if you wish. Otherwise, take the left elbow onto the left thigh and lunge into it a little bit. So then we get a stronger stretch around the front of the pelvis. The right hand can be on the hip and you can just gently go in and out of it, or you can hold it. Just be kind to your body. Ahimsa. No harm. Great. And take another breath here. You could add the right arm over if you wish. Take a breath. Nice and stable. Great. And then we start to come up, straighten the left leg and tone the toes forward. So then we're more in this traditional gate pose. So lengthening tailbone. So you're nice and upright, left hand to left thigh, bring the right arm over. And again, really focus on opening the space between the rib and the armpit, between the hip and the armpit, opening up the ribs with your breath. So you're pushing the breath into this right side. One more breath there. And then let's windmill the hands. Keep the legs the same. Right hand comes to the floor and then sweep the left arm alongside your ear, really pushing into that left foot. Great. And then turn to the mat, bring the left hand down. You can come to the front of the mat if you want to. Tuck the left toes under and just press back up into downward facing dog and walk through the feet. Separate the feet hip width apart. Your hands are strong, your arms are strong, and lift right onto the very tippy toes. Soften the knees a little bit. And then start to feel that you're stretching from the toes to the heels as you lengthen the heels back. Now, for me, I can press my heels into the towel, which is nice. You're not trying to ground the heels into the floor unless your mechanics do that. You're just feeling as if you're stretching them back. Do that again. So come right up onto the tiptoes, soften the knees as the hips lift to the ceiling, and then lengthen as if you were lengthening your feet, making yourself a size bigger in your shoe size. Feel the stretch in the calves, and once more, inhale right up onto the tiptoes, bend the knees, lift the hips, and then lengthen as if you were stretching your plantar fascia, stretching the heels back. Lovely. And then start to walk the hands back and take the towel out, but you're going to need that again. And come into a forward fold, and you can always take the opportunity to re-sausage your towel and take it to the side. So here, just between Ardha Uttanasana, inhaling up into half forward fold, toning the belly, and feel as if you're lengthening forwards as you firm the legs, soften the knees, and then fold back down again. Let the head release. So do that twice more with your breath. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale. And soften. Last time, inhaling. And then exhale. Good. Soften the knees, sweeping the arms, come all the way up. Urdhva Hastasana, reaching up through the fingertips. And exhale, hands to the heart. We do a little half salutation here. Inhale, sweep the arms up. As you exhale, fold. You can soften the knees if that feels good for you. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhaling, folding. And inhale, come all the way up. Exhaling, hands to the heart. So we're going to try that with the towel underneath the balls of the feet. Get more stretch through the calves, the Achilles. So if it completely takes you off your balance, then don't worry, you can take the towel out again. But just have a try. So you might find, if like me, that you're tight in your calves, that already taking the balls of your feet onto the towel and the heels on the floor, that you feel a stretch. So my right calf is already tight. But we want to stand just as tall as we did a moment ago with the balls of the feet on the floor. And that can be a challenge. If you're tight, your body's going to want to do this. So again, can you feel that you're lengthening the tailbone, drawing the belly up, drawing the shoulders into the back of the heart? So you're the tallest version that you can be, and push into your heels. And then sweep the arms up, inhaling. You can soften the knees here as we fold and come down into Uttanasana. And here you might find a stronger stretch. It might come up into your hamstring. So let's take a moment to bend the knees and then straighten the knees. Bend them and then straighten them, feeling the stretch in the back of the legs, letting the tension stay away from neck and head. Good. And then try pushing into your heels, straightening the legs, taking the hands to the shins, lengthen forwards, half forward fold. Can you keep the legs firm as you fold back into Uttanasana? Stay grounded through the heels as you inhale and take the arms all the way up, tailbone lengthen, belly firm. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's do that one more time. Really pushing into the heels, legs strong. Inhale, exhale, fold. And if you need to, soften the knees. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. And then sweep the arms, come all the way up. Inhaling, lovely. Exhale, hands to the heart. Well done. Step off your towel and just pop it to the side, and that will feel lovely for your legs to have that not there anymore. And come to the front of your mat. Lovely. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale and fold, and feel that you're a little bit more flexible here now the towel's not here. Inhale, lengthen forwards. As you exhale, ground the hands and step back into downward facing dog. Stretch the heels back as if you were going to lengthen the backs of your feet to the back of your mat. And then come high on the tiptoes just by lifting the hips up. Again, just lengthen the feet back as if you were stretching from the balls of your feet to your heels. And then soften the knees, lift the hips. So you've got that stretch on the calves, on the Achilles. You're grounding through the big toe joint, the little toe joint, and stretching the soles of your feet back. Lovely. And let's inhale forwards into plank and exhale to the belly. And inhale into cobra, shoulders draw together, back of the neck long. Exhaling, release back to the floor, tucking the toes, come up to the knees, and then inhale up to downward facing dog. Lovely. Looking to your thumbs, step to the front of your mat, inhaling half forward fold, and exhale forward fold, Uttanasana. Root down into the whole of your feet. Inhale, sweep the arms up, coming all the way up. Lovely. Exhale, hands to the heart. Great. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale and fold. Lovely. Inhale, lengthen forwards. This time, you're going to step your left foot back onto the ball of that back foot. Good. Hug the legs into the center and then start to bring the arms up into Anjali Asana. So this back leg stays strong. You're still sort of feeling this pelvic loop of energy, if you like. You're drawing up pubic bone to navel, lengthening from the back of your kidneys to your sit bones. And that gives you more of a stretch in the left. Good, in the left hip. And then can you just draw that right hip back a tiny bit so that the hips are square to the front? Good. And then see if you can lift your right heel off the floor and lunge a little bit deeper. So you're balancing on your tiptoes, focus gaze. And then bring the right heel down and step the left foot in just a little bit so you're in warrior one. So here we're trying to ground the back foot, so you might need a slightly narrower stance. Again, square the pelvis, right hip back, take the arms up, lengthen tailbone, and then float both heels off the floor. Lunge a little deeper. Good, a little bit of focus here, and then lengthen the heels back. Well done. Start to straighten the front leg. So we're starting to hinge forwards, and if your bricks are somewhere handy, should have said that before, then you can have them here as we come into this version of pyramid pose. So both legs are straight, right hip is drawing back. Push into both heels as you start to lengthen the torso forwards. So this might be enough for you. We've got the fingertips on the bricks. And here we're working on especially lengthening that right side. So the right hip bone is pressing back to the back of the mat. Your feet are pressing into the mat. If you feel you've got a little bit more to give, then you can start to bend the elbows. But make sure that the right hip doesn't swing out to the side. Feel as if you're squeezing your feet together and bowing. Well done. Really nice. Ardhva. Take another breath. Come halfway up once more. Take the bricks just off your mat. Take the hands to the floor as you bend the front knee. Step back with the left foot. Step back with the right foot, downward facing dog. And again, just get that sense of stretching the heels back. Come forwards into plank, lower to the floor. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then inhale the right leg, lift, step it to the front of your mat. Good, come up into Anjali Asana first. So you're on the ball of your back foot. You're sweeping the arms up, squaring the pelvis. So here again, left hip comes back, lengthening the tailbone, strong through this back leg. And just lift the left heel and lunge a little deeper. See if you can keep control. Shoulders relaxed, well done. Drop the front heel, step the back foot in a little bit so that the back toes are pointing towards the top right-hand corner. And again, square the pelvis. So you're in warrior one as you take your arms up. Now see, can you start to lift the heels? Don't straighten the front leg. Lunge a little bit deeper and lift the heels, balancing. Lovely. And then ground the heels. Well done. Start to straighten that front leg as you take the hands to the hips and begin to lengthen forwards. Now this left hip is hugging back. The bricks are there if you need it. Otherwise, you can just keep the hands on the hips. Otherwise, bring the hips in and first of all, lengthen forwards. So as you hug the hips into the midline, that left hip is going to draw back. So you're long through the left side of the body. And then if there's more to give, and on this side I don't, I'm going to stay here. You might bend the elbows and fold a little bit more. Can you push into both heels? So there's engagement in both legs as you lengthen the spine. Well done. Take another 2 breaths here. And then, well done. Bend the front knee. Take the bricks to the side, hands to the floor, step the right foot back, step the left foot back, downward facing bog, downward facing bog. And stretch the inner heels back, the inner thighs back, and then tone the belly. Good, rooting from the back of the heart into the hands, downward facing dog. Lovely. Good. And then start to step forwards to the front of your mat. Right foot, left foot. Inhale to lengthen. Exhaling, fold. Sweep the arms wide, come all the way up. Urdhva Hastasana. So, yeah, I'm going to be kind to you. Exhale and bring the hands down. So we're going to do a figure 4 hip stretch, standing hip stretch. This is quite a challenge to keep your balance with this one. So if you would like to, then have your hips to the wall, and you're going to be in a bent knee position. So to find out if you're in the right place, you sort of want the distance of your upper thigh to be between you and the wall rather than too close to the wall. Otherwise, we're going to do this standing. So as you take the arms up, lift the right foot off the floor. Bending the knee, drawing the toes up away from the floor. So you're super strong. As you start to bend your left knee, so that left leg must be bent, bring the right ankle across the top of the knee and keep taking the hips back, the hips back, the hips back. Bring the hands together in front of your heart. So this is where you might decide to come and take the hips to the wall. And we're feeling a stretch in this right glute. The right toes are drawing back. You're bending deeply into that left knee, and you might find that your elbows come down to your shin, or you might find that your hands can come onto your bricks. Yeah, go to the wall. So here we want to take that left hip back a little bit. You want to feel it stretch in the hip, so be patient with yourself. Lovely. Good. So then right knee is out wide. And you might hug the elbows into the front of the shin. Well done. Good. And then start to look forwards, push into your left foot and come up for standing. Well done. Other side, just give that a little bit of a loosen. So standing nice and tall, take the arms up. As you lift your left foot off the floor, toning the belly, stay strong, start to bend the right knee. Then bring the ankle across. Now, it doesn't work if you're still a bit straight in that standing leg. So you really need to sit the hips back as in chair pose. Keep sitting back, the knee forwards, the hips back, hands to the heart, and maybe elbows to the shin. If you're a bit more flexible than I am, you might even have your hands down on bricks or on the floor. Lovely. Really draw your left toes back. Steady and strong, sitting back. Lovely. Bring the hands to the heart. Start to push into your standing leg and come back to standing. And then bring yourself to your seat on the floor. Good. And if you happen to have a strap with you, then this is going to be easier for you. But if you don't, it's still great. We're just going to do boat pose for 5 breaths. So if you have a strap, I am cheating a bit because I've got my bendy strap, which makes it my flexible strap, which makes it even easier. But otherwise, your strap can just come around the balls of your feet, walk the heels in towards you. And here we want to keep the collarbones open. So see if you can feel that your shoulder blades sit into the back of your heart. And you want to keep that. Now begin to bring the belly away from the thighs. Really pull the belly in, start to lift your feet. Can you take your shins parallel to the floor without dropping back? Good. So the strap here helps us to keep that lift. Squeeze the belly in. Good. You might find, and this is easier with my band, that you can then straighten the legs, but keep lifted. You want to still feel the belly working. So we just got a bit of support from the strap, but we still need our belly drawing in, shoulders back. Good. Let's do 3 more breaths. And then bend the knees in, shins parallel to the floor, don't collapse. And then feet to the floor and release the strap. Well done. Come onto your back, keep the knees bent. Lengthening the back of the head as you bring your body to the floor. Draw the shoulder blades underneath you. Good. And if you have your towel, your rolled up towel handy, grab it. Don't worry if you haven't. And you're just going to put it underneath the neck here. So not under the head, but under the neck. So your skull drapes over. Don't worry if your towel's not anywhere near. And just start to roll the head to the right. You get a massage in the back of the head, the back of the neck rather. Roll the head to the left. Inhale to the center, and again, roll to the right. And feel your spine starting to relax as you just massage the neck with your rolled up towel. And again, it's nice to have the bigger towel here. You get a little bit more out of this. One more each side. You can take the towel out or keep it as it is, straighten the left leg. Bring your right knee across your body, take hold of it with your left hand, and then just start to draw the knee over to the left. Keep the right shoulder down if you can. Maybe take the gaze to the right, bring it into a twist. Inhale back to the center, planting the right foot, bring the left knee in, straighten the right leg. Good, as you bring your left knee up, take it with your right hand. The knee comes across over to the right, but you try to keep the shoulders still grounded and maybe the gaze to the left. So for me, it's really comfy still to have the towel supporting my neck, but you can take it out if you rather. Good, breathe into the twist. And then inhale to the center, bring the arms comfortably to your sides and straighten your legs out to Shavasana. Again, choose whether you keep the towel there. For me, it's really comfortable. And start to feel the whole of the spine. So the skull should be, back of the skull on the floor, not lifted by the towel. And then let the upper back release into the floor, the middle of your back. Soften the lumbar spine. Take a breath into all of that space. Feel the pelvis heavy, the legs heavy. And soften the breath. By all means, stay in Shavasana for a little longer if you'd like. Otherwise, start to deepen the breath. Bring a little bit more energy to the breath and with it to the body. And then start to make your way back to seated. No rush. And bring your hands to your heart. And just take one more deep breath, feeling the breath coming up the spine, that central channel of energy. And with great love and gratitude, namaste.